Hello and welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. We're so glad you're here today. As we take a look at this article, families spent $34,019 on college last year, which is up quite a bit. Try 10% up. Yikes. We'll take a look at that article in just a bit and dive deep on the details. But if you want to dive even deeper on any topic we talk about, you can always go on to social media. We're pretty much anywhere you are. Just search for the words The College Investor and you'll find us. You can also just check out thecollegeinvestor.com. We have links and resources and tons of stuff right there for you. Kind of like a one-stop shop for all things money. And you can find it again. It's thecollegeinvestor.com. All right, let's take a look at this. So American families spent an average of $34,019 on college during the 25-26 academic year. That's a 10% increase from the just under $31,000 the year prior. This is according to the study How America Pays for College 2026. It's kind of an annual deal that Sallie Mae and Ipsos do. So the increase far outpaced published tuition increases, of course, yet families are not backing away from higher ed. 91% call college a valuable investment in their students' future. 84% say they're confident they made the right financial decisions to pay for it. The 19th edition of the study, based on online surveys of 1,000 undergrad students and 1,000 parents, arrives at kind of a turning point for college finance. New federal borrowing caps began phasing in for new borrowers this summer. The survey suggests most families have really no idea what's happening with these higher ed reforms. Yikes, that's hard to believe. But anyway, spending jumped 10%, but most families paid less than sticker price. So that's the good news here. Parent and student income and savings remained the backbone of college funding, covering 49% of costs, or that's like $16,624 out of pocket for the typical family. Scholarships and grants covered another 27%. Borrowing covered just 22%, and then gifts from relatives, friends, all that kind of stuff made up the final 2%, which is a mix that roughly follows the recommended order of operations for paying for college. You can find that link too at thecollegeinvestor.com. So costs varied widely, of course, by school type. Families with students at two-year public schools spent $21,000 on average, compared to the $32,000 or so at four-year public schools and almost $48,000 at four-year private schools. Those figures reflect what families actually pay out of pocket, not published prices. That's important. The advertised price is a starting point rather than the final number. Just 39% of families paid the full sticker price, consistent with record tuition discounting across higher ed. Among savings tools, 529 plan usage increased to 34% from 32% last year, with an average distribution of $9,500. Here's what Dan O'Leary, he's the senior research manager at Ipsos. Ipsos? I don't really know Ipsos or Ipsos. But while household budgets may be feeling some pressure, families are still choosing to invest in higher education. They continue to see college as worth the cost and remain confident in how they are paying for it, even if that means stretching financially to make ends meet. End quote. Scholarship and grant dollars grew, yet most non-users never applied. 6 in 10 families, which is 61%, used scholarships this year, receiving an average of $82.91, up from $8,004 just last year. Grant use rose to 59% from 57%, and the average grant grew to $7,108, up from $6,100 just a year ago. Finding scholarship money remains one of the highest return moves a family can make, of course. The bigger story is, who's missing out on this? Among families that did not use scholarships, 74% never even applied. That is mind-boggling. Misconceptions appear to be driving the inaction. 48% of families believe scholarships are only available to students with exceptional grades or abilities. 41% think they are only for incoming freshmen. 35% assume they are not worth pursuing if parents earn higher incomes. None of those beliefs are actually accurate, and each one costs families real money. FAFSA completion moved actually in the right direction. 3/4 of families. 75% or so completed the form for 25 and 26, which is up from 71%, and 81% of filers found the process really easy to do, which is a huge improvement from 72% last year. Timing remains a weak spot, though. Only 25% of families know the FAFSA opens in October, which matters because some financial aid is awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Among families that skipped the form, the most common reasons were believing their income was too high to qualify, 26%, and then just not knowing about the FAFSA at all. How do you not know about the FAFSA? I know, it's crazy, but it's true. Education is huge about this stuff. One underused tool that stands out in the data, 33% of families who received a financial aid offer, appealed for more, and 70% of those appeals resulted in additional money. Appeal for more. That's the rule. Every time, just appeal. All right, so borrowing held steady too as new federal loan caps arrive. Just under half of the families borrowed to pay for college this year, 68% of them. Borrowing was always part of the plan for them. Student loans also shaped where students enrolled. 38% of borrowing families said access to loans let them consider a higher cost school. Maybe not the best decision, and one worth running through a student loan calculator. Please, we have one, by the way. It's brilliant, amazing calculator at thecollegeinvestor.com. Federal student loan use slipped to 25% of families from 27%, with borrowers taking an average of $9,100. Parent Plus loan was edged up to 13% from just 11% last year, but the average amount borrowed dropped a lot to $7,700, down from over $10,000 last year, as those borrowing limits tightened a bit. So, that's the backdrop, which makes awareness numbers pretty striking here. As of July 1st of 26, Parent Plus loans for new borrowers are capped at $20,000 per year and $65,000 per student over a lifetime. When surveyed, only 47% of families said they were even aware of the change, and just 22% were actually fully aware of it, as opposed to partially aware, I guess. So at the same time, families broadly agree with the direction of the policy. That's good. 66% support limits on federal student borrowing, and 58% believe that unlimited federal lending has contributed to college costs going up. Among parents, only 13% said they were concerned about the new limits at all. That's really encouraging, actually. Families also have clear opinions on how schools should respond. 53% want colleges to lower their tuition and fees. Yes. So apparently 47% of people want tuition to just keep going up. You just keep raising the price. It's fun. I love paying more. Anyway, okay, sorry. 38% want more scholarships. 36% want more generous financial aid. This is weird. Why not higher numbers on that? Families facing a shortfall do have options for closing a financial aid gap, but 74% say the responsibility for affordability sits with colleges and universities themselves, ahead of the federal government and state governments. I think that's probably a good thing. Markets should kind of dictate prices and things, but if you're not in that camp and you're a government first, I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. So here's what this means for your family. The report shows families planning more than they used to, which is good, but still have gaps that carry real costs. 58% of families created a plan to pay for all years of college before enrolling. Fewer than half discussed what all years of college would cost. Only 38% discussed expected starting salaries after graduation. You got to talk about your return on investment. And just 31% discussed who would be responsible for repaying student loans. That just causes a lot of headaches if you don't have these conversations. The optimism gap is measurable too. 84% of families are confident their student will earn a bachelor's degree within 4 years. Only 61% actually complete a degree within 6 years, though, according to National Student Clearinghouse data. Every extra semester adds to the total bill, and often to average student loan debt that payment plans never accounted for. Analyzing the cost of college is becoming a lot more common. Nearly 8 in 10 families eliminated at least one school because of price. And cost, 40%, essentially tied proximity to home, 39%, and then Academics at 38% as the top factor in choosing a school, making the net price of each college the number that matters most. Families are also bringing new tools. 26% used AI, like ChatGPT, Gemini, for college research and decisions, most often to research colleges, majors and careers, and to estimate costs. It's not good to use AI to estimate costs. Go to the humans at thecollegeinvestor.com. All right, so families should start with outcomes in mind. This is what Rick Castellano, vice president of Sallie Mae, said, and here's a direct quote. Talking early and often about the full cost of a degree, career paths, and life after graduation can help families compare options, avoid missing out on aid and scholarships, and ultimately choose a path that fits their goals and budget. End quote. And at that, we will leave it there for today. That is our show. Thank you so much for stopping by, being a part of this. If you want to dive deeper, find out more information, get the calculators and the resources and the tools you need for everything to price out college and be as responsible as you can. It's at thecollegeinvestor.com. Also, connect with human beings. The AI tools can be great as a starting point, but you want to get the actual answers from humans. And with that, you can just type in the words The College Investor on all the social sites, and we're pretty much wherever you are. Type in those words, you'll find us. We'd love to help you. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you again real soon.